In his last interview with the BBC.
Gary, you said that last week's draw would be a good point if you could back it up with a win this week, and the preparations started pretty early for this weekend.
Yeah, I see it as pretty much a key game. It's an important game because for the reason is we've not been playing too bad. Twice we've been down to 10 men in the last couple of games and sort of got the game back. We need to show that spirit, of course, as we do with 11 men. But you've got to score more goals than the opposition, and that's really something that's not happening at the moment. There's too many draws, and we've got to somehow make sure we get at least one more than the team that we're against.
Have you had to sort of sacrifice some of the attacking instincts in recent weeks to tighten up the defence and make sure that you weren't conceding, because you've got that sorted again at the moment?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit chicken and egg, isn't it? You have to work on the defenders, and some weeks you work harder on the defending of your team than you do on the attacking of your team. And if there's a Tuesday game, you get less days to be able to do that. But the lads should know both their defensive responsibilities and their attacking responsibilities in our team now. It's up to them to do both, and that's really what we're asking them to do. Everybody's, of course, got to up it by a certain percentage, some more than others, and show an intent to go and win the game, and that's what we have to do. We spent the first 20 minutes at Accrington watching them play, 10 minutes maybe, and then we got into it a little bit. Well, we can't afford periods like that, and we've got to make sure that we're putting teams under pressure as soon as we can.
And more opportunity, presumably, to do that at home.
Yeah, for some reason. I mean, when we were kids and we all played Sunday League football, didn't matter whether we was on South Park, North Park, East Park or West Park, did it? You know what I mean? So why it should matter nowadays, I don't know. And it's a football pitch, and the lads have got to go and perform. If it's a mental toughness, then you've got a problem. You've got to make sure that just because at home, you've got your supporters and it's more comfortable, it shouldn't be actually, should it? When you're trying to get a result in front of your home fans. So I don't want to get into that home and away thing, because we've got to start winning at home, but we've also got to start winning away as well.
How's your squad this week? Because obviously, especially at left back, you've had people dropping out in recent weeks, and is this week's sort of selection almost a count of numbers first of all, and then see which way you could go?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. Exactly. This week we just got to wait and see. We'll leave it to the last minute to decide. We'll do a bit of work with a couple of options and have a look at that. But when we tend to lose one and gain one, and then we gain one and lose one. So it's still a bit tight, but it's still good enough to pick up results.
Are any of those, obviously you've got two players out through suspension, but are any of, I suppose, Jordan Cranston and Alex Cooper, are they in with a chance, maybe?
Alex Cooper's got no chance. No, who's the other one?
Jordan Cranston.
Yeah, Jordan's got a chance. Obviously Alex is going to be out for 3 weeks maybe with his hamstring, but Cranis has made half a decent recovery, and he's still a bit like that, but I think he'll end up coming through, which is good. He's a fit lad and a strong lad. He wouldn't have lost any fitness, so we're hoping that he's going to be ready.
And Carl Storer presumably chomping at the bit if selected.
He's definitely chomping at the bit, that's for sure. And the physios, we bought one of those vests to see whether they're any good, and that dictate, that let you know how many kilometres he's run in that game, and how many sprints and how fast he was going. And I don't know whether it was a cheap bit of equipment, but evidently for an hour he ran at 95 kilometres per hour, and Gav's only just realised he had it on when he was in his car from Birmingham to here. But in the game he ran quicker than Usain Bolt, and he done a better 13 kilometres the Mo. Do you know what I mean? What's his name? Mo Farah. So we're sending the vest back because there's no way is he that fit at the moment. But he'd like to think he is, and I'm sure he'll be putting a good case to me in training. So we'll take the vest off him and we'll just watch him with our own eyes.
How big is the challenge this week for the midfield without Harry Pell, who's been one of your leading lights this season?
Yeah, he's been a top player and top performer in my eyes and in many other people's eyes, of course. And he's been ever present. So it'd be disappointing not to have him, and it will certainly be a loss. But it's somebody else's chance to come in and perform. Yeah, we just got to deal with it and come through it. Him and O'Shaughnessy, I think they've both been above average performers at least. And but while we got staff, it does give them an opportunity to take their place and stake a claim.
A word on Crawley, barely mentioned them. What's your assessment of them?
I thought they had a poor start, but I think he brought in a few during the windows. Obviously, while the windows were open, the Chelsea connection with their manager Domot, obviously he's used. A couple of their players I've worked with before, so more than a couple actually. So I know him quite well, and we'll have to see what team he selects. But at the moment, they're on a good bit of form. Really, they found themselves sixth in the table, whereas early on they were down the bottom there somewhere. So it just proves that if you can put a run of 2 or 3 good results together, you can get yourself back in the hunt.
Thank you, Colette.
No problem.
Is that the key now? A run of results. I know you pointed to say this is an important game.
Yeah.
It's going to be important just to build points up.
It is.
To get that cushion between you and the bottom.
I mean, it's no disrespect to Crawley saying that. It's just, our league position at the moment means that it's better to be mid-table looking up than below mid-table looking down, sort of thing. And we haven't had our fortune, if you like, yet. And I'm hoping that always the next game gives you the opportunity of changing your fortune, as far as your luck with injuries are concerned and hitting the post and decisions that have gone against us. So we'll have to see whether this is not one of the springboards for us to go and get a couple of wins at least on the trot if we can.
Rob Dickey used a great phrase. I think it was probably something said in the dressing room after last week. He said we can't wait for the penny to drop, we've got to make it drop. Has that been a bit more the sort of mantra, be a bit more bold and a bit more positive?
Yeah, exactly. We've been showing all the boys their individual stats, not with the cheap vest, but with from the video, and we diagnose it ourselves, and we can let them know whether they've done enough in an attacking sense, whether they've made enough challenges, whether they've won enough of those challenges, whether they've won enough headers, whether they've won enough sprints. We do how many sprints. Actually, our YTS boys have been actually physically, if people see them on the line, they're doing the number of sprints that the lads are making, the number of tackles. So it's a bit primitive that you've got people doing this nowadays and all this technical stuff, but it helps the YTS boys as well understand, because it's always somebody in their position, so it helps them. And they're not shy in giving their opinions either, because we ask them to say a weakness and a strength, and they've been spot on so far. So I've been really pleased with that, and very honest and very tough, because they've made some critical comments, and it's but in a good way, in the right way. So it's those boys they're showing us now whether they are up for it or not up for it with their individual stats. And to be fair, most are up for it, but they've just got to show a little bit more in the end product of the game, i.e. what have you done to win us this game.
With Carl, does the Alex Cooper happening last week sort of cloud your judgment and make you want to be a bit more careful because you don't want another player sort of after 2 minutes of a game holding a muscle and thinking?
Well, when you got people with, situations that Kyle's had, that can sort of go at any time. That's just the nature of his injury, if you like. But he's, he had a fantastic season last season. Didn't have too many problems, and hopefully now he's had the surgery, he should be okay. We've got to be aware of, how fit is he for a very important game. Is it better? Can you start him and probably not finish him, or not start him and bring him on when everybody else is tiring? There's that scenario that we've got to think about.
You don't think he's 90 minutes in him still quite just yet?
Well, only he can show that. If if he starts and after an hour he's flying, you're going to keep him going. Adrenaline will probably keep him going because he's been looking forward to his league debut, as it were. But at the same time, he knows that we've got to be professional about it, and the opposition ain't going to care about him. So we've got to make sure that we're not doing him an injustice just because we've got to get Storer's name on the team sheet. We've got to do that at the right time.
Just finally on that, obviously the first 8 games of the season he was unavailable for. I imagine there was some disappointment in the group and from everybody about what happened, both on that and then what's happened afterwards. The first bit probably deserved to be out. The second bit he's not deserved to be out. So it's a tricky situation, isn't it? With
football, isn't it? It's bad things happen. I normally use another word in there, but I won't say that. It's but bad things do happen, and you have to deal with it. And as a professional footballer, you get your times when you're up and your times when you're down, and you just got to have the character and the personality to come through it, and he's definitely got that.
The first bit, you don't feel there's a risk of that happening again with another case where he might do something silly, a moment of madness and get a game back?
No.
It's just a one-off
I think
moment.
if you go over the situation and how it happened and what happened, and I think in our disciplinary things are the only things where people guess a little bit, and you get done with a little bit of guesswork. Whereas in a court of law, it's got to be, what's the words?
Evidence. Hard evidence.
Yeah, it's well, you've got to be. Yeah, sort of. Yeah, but there's other words, and
beyond all reasonable doubt.
Yeah, beyond all reasonable doubt. Whereas that's the court side of things. If it went to court, and the FA side of things is it hasn't got to be beyond. It's good. It's just got to be. What's the
balanced probabilities?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well done, mate.
Yeah.
Fettuccine here. And that was how I felt it was. But anyway, listen, he's done his time for his crime, and if it was a crime, and we all saw the situation, and it's not one where he did it every week or has done it regular. It's just something that people presumed what happened.
Just finally, we've had a trialist in the last couple of weeks. Any movement on that, or is that going to be a yay or a nay quite soon?
No, it's not a yay or a nay yet. I mean, the lad came in and was very unfit, hadn't played for a long time, and often you have to give people 6 weeks to 8 weeks like we do pre-season. He hasn't done a pre-season. So we're just giving him an opportunity to show us that he can gain a bit of fitness, and then we then take the opportunity to let him know whether it's a yay or nay. And I mean, it's probably going to be another week or so.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Cheers.
Well done, mate.